Scene script. Have you ever wondered why certain activities seem so addictive? Why do scrolling through social media, playing video games, or even eating certain foods seem so rewarding? Welcome to the fascinating world of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a pivotal role in how we feel pleasure and satisfaction. It's like an internal reward system, a pat on the back from your brain saying, "Good job, do that again." Now imagine dopamine as a rush of confetti, a burst of applause inside your brain. When you bite into a juicy hamburger, win a round of your favorite video game, or get a handful of likes on your latest Instagram post, you're triggering a release of dopamine. It's this chemical confetti party that leaves you wanting more, and it's why these activities can feel so rewarding. The interesting part is, our brains are designed to seek out these dopamine hits. Our ancestors needed this mechanism to survive, to seek out food, shelter, and mates. But in our modern world, where gratification can be instant and constant, this system can become overloaded. Think about it. 100 years ago, dopamine hits were few and far between. Today, they're just a click, swipe, or a snack away. As we navigate our daily routines, we're often unknowingly setting off a dopamine fireworks show in our brains. Your morning coffee? Dopamine. That funny cat video you watched during lunch? Dopamine. The satisfaction of ticking off tasks from your to-do list? You guessed it, dopamine. Our brains are constantly bathed in this chemical, and it's shaping our behavior, our habits, and ultimately our lives. But it's not just about pleasure. Dopamine is also linked to motivation, attention, and learning. So when we talk about dopamine, we're talking about the very essence of what drives us as humans. So, it seems our daily habits can have a profound impact on our dopamine levels. But what happens when these levels get too high? Dopamine levels in our bodies are not constant. They rise and fall, and both extremes can have significant effects. Let's start with high dopamine levels. Imagine being on a roller coaster that only goes up. That's what high dopamine levels can feel like. It's a rush, a thrill, but it's not sustainable. This surge of dopamine can lead to hyperactivity, a feeling of being unstoppable. It's like your brain is stuck on overdrive, and this can lead to addiction. We're not just talking about substances here. Anything that gives you that dopamine rush can be addictive. Social media, video games, binge-watching television series, the list goes on. Then there's impulsivity, another side effect of high dopamine levels. Ever made a decision in the heat of the moment, only to regret it later? That's impulsivity. It's acting without thinking, without considering the consequences. High dopamine levels can make us more prone to these impulsive behaviors. But what about the other end of the spectrum, low dopamine levels? It's like the roller coaster has suddenly come to a halt. The thrill is gone, replaced by a lack of motivation. You might find it hard to get out of bed in the morning or to finish tasks. There's a feeling of fatigue that doesn't seem to lift, no matter how much sleep you get. And then there's depression. Low dopamine levels have been linked to feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest in things you once enjoyed. It's a stark contrast to the rush of high dopamine levels. So, we have two extremes, the relentless high and the draining low. Neither is ideal. Both can have a negative impact on our lives. Clearly, maintaining a balanced dopamine level is crucial for our well-being. But what happens when we are continuously exposed to high dopamine levels? In our modern, fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with stimuli that can lead to a continuous high dopamine level. This is where the concept of a dopamine detox comes in. Imagine your brain as a bustling city, with dopamine acting as the currency flowing through its streets. The more dopamine that's circulating, the more vibrant and energetic the city becomes. But what happens when the flow of dopamine becomes too much? The city becomes overstimulated, buzzing and chaotic, leading to a state of desensitization. Just like how the residents of a city might need a break from the hustle and bustle, our brains too need a break from the constant surge of dopamine. This is because, over time, our brains adjust to the constant high levels of dopamine by becoming less sensitive to it. In other words, we require more and more stimulation to feel the same level of pleasure. This can lead to a vicious cycle of seeking out ever more intense experiences to satisfy our cravings. This is where the concept of a dopamine detox comes in. It's not about eliminating dopamine altogether, but rather about resetting our brain's reward system. Think of it as a kind of brain vacation, a chance for our minds to recalibrate and regain sensitivity to dopamine. By giving our brains a break from the constant bombardment of dopamine-inducing stimuli, we can help to reset our dopamine sensitivity, making everyday pleasures feel more rewarding once again. It's about restoring balance, helping us to enjoy the simple things in life without needing the extreme. In essence, a dopamine detox is a tool that can help us regain control over our habits and our life by breaking the cycle of overstimulation and desensitization. It's a way of saying, enough is enough, and taking a step back from the constant pursuit of dopamine hits. Dopamine detox can help us regain control over our habits and our life. But how can we do it? Stay tuned to find out more in the next segment. Implementing a dopamine detox involves taking a break from activities that cause a surge in dopamine levels. But what does this really look like in practice? Well, it can be as simple as limiting screen time, engaging in mindful activities, spending time in nature, and practicing meditation. Let's start with limiting screen time. In an age where our lives revolve around screens, be it a computer, a smartphone, or a television, it's hard to imagine a day without one. But it's important to remember that these devices are often the main culprits behind a dopamine overload. They feed us with constant notifications, updates, and entertainment that can lead to a non-stop dopamine rush. So, how about setting aside some tech-free time each day? Even just a few hours can do wonders in reducing the dopamine overload. Next, consider engaging in mindful activities. These are activities that require you to be present and focused. It could be anything from painting to playing a musical instrument, or even cooking your favorite dish. When you're fully engaged in an activity, you're not just giving your brain a break from the dopamine onslaught, but also training it to find pleasure in focused, meaningful tasks. Spending time in nature is another great way to detox. Nature has a calming effect that can help lower your dopamine levels. Whether it's a walk in the park, a hike in the woods, or simply sitting by a lake, immersing yourself in nature can provide a much-needed respite from the constant buzz of the digital world. Meditation is another effective strategy. By focusing on your breath or a specific mantra, meditation helps you tune out the noise and distractions. It's like hitting a reset button for your brain, allowing it to slow down and take a breather from the dopamine frenzy. You don't have to meditate for hours on end. Even just 10 minutes a day can have a significant impact. Now, while these strategies are effective, it's important to approach your dopamine detox gradually. Going cold turkey might seem like a good idea, but it can lead to withdrawal symptoms and make it harder to stick to the detox. Start small, maybe by reducing your screen time by an hour or meditating for 5 minutes a day. Then, as you get more comfortable, you can gradually increase the intensity. Also, remember that everyone's lifestyle is different. What works for one person may not work for another. Personalize your dopamine detox to suit your needs and circumstances. Maybe you can't completely cut out screen time because of work, but you can choose to switch off notifications or set specific times for checking emails and social media. Remember, the goal of a dopamine detox is not to eliminate pleasure from your life, but to regain control over your habits and find pleasure in simple, meaningful activities. So, are you ready to take control of your dopamine levels and improve your well-being? We've delved deep into the world of dopamine, exploring its role in our daily habits, whether it's that habitual scroll through social media or the thrill of online gaming. We've touched on the effects of high and low dopamine levels, the swings between intense pleasure and a lack of motivation. We've also discovered the need for a dopamine detox to reset our body's natural equilibrium and restore our ability to find joy in simpler, healthier pursuits. We've discussed some practical strategies to detox, from reducing screen time to embracing quiet moments of solitude and mindfulness. Remember, the journey to dopamine detox isn't an overnight affair. It's a gradual process, a commitment to taking back control over our well-being. So, why not give it a try? Implement some of the strategies discussed and see the difference it makes. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.